So the last video I made looks like this, which looks great, right? The problem is, when it takes you an hour and a half to set up and it does this to your living room, I'm not sure it's worth it. Here's what I think is. When lockdown hit in the UK, suddenly I couldn't just pop to my studio anymore and film videos. Before, I'd been keeping the look at the studio very simple. I'd always intended on making a set that looked a bit more elaborate, but that was the plan after 2 years of running the channel. First, I just wanted a boring plain background to see how far I could take that. I was filming on a Canon C100 Mark II with a Rode NTG3 mic, using big old lights like the Aperture 120D, and the whole setup, everything in the studio was about 15 grand. I also had full control of everything. So lockdown hits and I can't go there anymore, and all I've got at home is a Rode Wireless Mic Go. That's about £150. My old beat up Sony a6500, which I bought years ago for mucking about with on holiday, and all the buttons are now stuck because the first time I ever used it I spilled an entire pint of beer on it at my mate's wedding. I've got two lenses, one kit lens that came with the a6500 and a 35mm Sony lens that was about £150. Now, I did have some expensive lights at home, but stick with me because I stopped using them and replaced them with this. A £20 ring light with a pillowcase on it. To start with, I had all the lights set up to film. 2 either side and 1 behind me to try and give me some rim glow. Is that a word? It is now. It worked. Well, it looked better, it went down well, and it could have been better still. So I did this setup for a while, and this whole setup cost was about £2,000. But setting up all of the lights and kit became a nightmare. That's my living room, you can see. You don't want to take over your house filming. It's not a set and forget system that you want for making videos fast. So instead, I decided to paint my spare room bright, because that kind of matches the sometimes playful nature of my content, and I can just set it up and leave it. The problem is the room's not very big. This is probably an issue for everyone who makes videos. So the paint I put on was about £50, threw some plants in, decorated, packed down the lights because they were always in the way, and came up with this. One crappy light with a pillowcase on it, a battered old camera with a cheap lens, and a cheap mic. Oh, and a cam link, but I'll talk about that in a second. So the mic itself is good. I just need to hang a soft blanket on the wall to reduce the echo, or use some software to help with that afterwards. And this is what you can currently see right now. My setup, which is probably worth about £1,200, but I reckon you could get it for under £1,000 now. The great thing is it takes up no space at all. The one light I leave set up all the time. The camera lives on a tripod, which packs down to nothing, and the mic goes in a drawer. I thought about using a shotgun mic that's way better quality, but you need a stand and an arm, and then it's just more mess in the room. So this kit went down to this. My camera is still very good, even though it's old tech now. It enables you to take some lovely photos and get some cracking B-roll. Check this out. So if you set it to slow-mo and then rock back and forwards, the image stabilization works so well, it actually makes it look like you've got a slider. The lens I use is a 35mm prime lens. It's got an f-stop of 1.8, which basically means you can do that cool blurry look and get a nice bright image, and nice and crisp, without having to pump the ISO up a ton, which can cause grain. This means you can hide mess too in the blur. So I put the crappy Amazon ring light with a pillow here, then plug my camera into the cam link I bought at the start of lockdown for live streaming, then use my computer, which just so happens to be right next to me, as a giant monitor. The autofocus on my beat up camera is great, so I'm always in focus. I can see that the sound is working on the waveforms on the monitor, and I can adjust myself in the screen pretty easily. The only issue I have is the window behind the camera. Now I'm lucky because direct sunlight doesn't tend to pour straight into it. So I have two choices: cover it up and need more lights, or just leave it and work with it. Now if I cover it up, it means I get more soundproofing, which is great, but then it's another task to do, and the editing will help with that anyway. So having a window like this with no cover on it is only a problem if it's a really sunny day and the clouds keep covering the sun and letting it pop out again. It's been an issue once since I started filming like this, so I just set up the camera to have a little bit of leeway. Also, because of the type of videos I make, if I suddenly get overexposed, I just cover it up in the edit. Then all that's left to do is play with the color and settings in Final Cut Pro, and my videos went from this to this. I don't know what it is, maybe I've just got lazy. I don't even bother clipping my lapel on anymore. But the fact of the matter is, most people who make videos for business or YouTube don't have a massive budget, and even worse, the ones that do have a massive budget buy kit which they don't end up using, or that causes more confusion and makes everything too hard. If you try to learn lighting, cameras, sound, editing, promotion all in one go, expecting an amazing result, you're kind of in for a shock because it all takes practice. So thinking about it,
Just because you don't have amazing kit isn't really an excuse. For me, it's a switch up of time, space, and actually getting things done. I could spend ages trying to get the perfect shots, but for vlogs like this, I just can't do that. The information is what matters. Yes, the look is very important too, but I think most people should consider just how simple a setup they can make that takes less time to use and less space. Once you've worked out the issues you might have, and if you do need to cover natural light coming in and get more lights, then do that. But if you're lacking in space, budget and time, you can, with some paint, a plant, a cheap low f-stop lens, make something that's better than a phone or a webcam. Now, I'm tight as anything. Unlike most people, new kit doesn't really excite me. And actually, after this experience, I've realised that you don't need the best, the latest, or all of the pro setup to make videos that look quite professional. Now, just in case any of my clients are watching for my production company, when we film your content, we wouldn't use this cheap setup. We use the proper stuff. I hope that helped inspire you in some way, shape or form if you thought you needed better kit. I've got better kit, it's just annoying to use. I'm happier to stick with my basic setup right now because it's just easier, and actually I'm quite happy with how it looks. So if you want to learn more about production, then watch this playlist. It will teach you the basics that matter, or check out our free course. There's over 90 videos, totally free, to teach you everything you need from presenting, prep, writing, filming, editing and promotion.